Now, if I can have your attention, we will call this meeting, February board meeting, to order. And first, I'd ask that everybody stand and say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And for all of our guests, I would like to welcome you and say welcome to our new building, and that we're so proud of. And now we can house people, we can see people, we have video screens. We're very pleased and excited about it. And now, celebrations.
We have several celebrations tonight, all around robotics, I believe. And you might notice a lot of guests, a lot of students and parents tonight. So I'm going to start by turning the floor over to Dennis. I think Dennis knows that I'm doing that, right?
He does now.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to highlight the robotics program at the middle school. Okay, Ms. Stacy Torrell began building our program last year from the ground up. This is a student-led program that requires the students to design, to build, and to operate the robot during competition. This team has been together for the past 2 years and have helped build a strong foundation of a great program. In only the second year of existence, the middle school robotics team has made the quarterfinals twice and the finals once in their 3 tournaments this year. I'm incredibly proud to introduce our middle school robotics coach, Ms. Stacy Torrell.
Hi, I want to start off by introducing my team, because we wouldn't have a robotics program without them. When I came in and took over the robotics program, I had no idea what I was doing. And we all learned together. They created this program. This is their program. It's their legacy. That I was just their secretary and their bus driver, really. Our captain is TJ Goldman.
Would you come up here and line up and go face the crowd?
Face that direction.
Yeah, face the crowd.
He runs everything. He makes sure that everything's on time. Sometimes he's my second brain. He makes sure that I remember to order parts and register us for tournaments. Jackson Maples takes care of our engineering notebook. His drawings are impeccable. He could probably go be an architect right now from what he can do. Brady Smith is one of our builders. He is just now in my robotics class. He had no robotics experience, and he came in and he just had an attitude of, I'm going to figure this out. And that's all I ever ask for. Liam, Comfort, and Silas Brewer are my drivers. These gentlemen are also both football players and on the track team. So they've balanced those responsibilities with the responsibilities of the robotics team. And finally, Noel Burrow is my only 7th grader. He came in and blew me away. His ability to code and problem solve is unlike anything I've ever seen before. So truly, the honor belongs to these gentlemen right here. You guys want me in your picture?
Okay, the next presenter up is Mr. Shoemaker. Luke.
Good evening. About a year and a half ago, before last school year started, our robotics coach was poached by the State Department by my predecessor, Director White. Wasn't too happy about it. But I had a teacher come to me. She said, I got this. And she is a lifelong learner. She does more extra hours of PD that probably don't even get put into PD Express than anyone I know in the district. She spends, I don't know, 30 hours a week after school. I'm probably hyperbole, but they're there a lot. They're there until probably overnight crews saying, you gotta get out of the building. She pours her heart and soul into this and into those kids. One of the kids is a TSA state officer. One of the students, the reigning student of the month. One of her kids on her team happens to be her own son. And she spends a lot of time with them on helping them master their craft. They've had a terrific season. Here in a minute, you're going to see what they actually do in competition. It's not battle bots. A lot of people think it's just robots slugging it out in the ring. It's actually very complex, and they brought the actual robots and the pieces today. So I'm very proud, excited to introduce Miss Cheryl Cox.
So while they're coming up, I'll remind the board that we made a visit to Miss Cox's class, and we made a visit to Miss Torrell's class, I believe, this year as well. So yeah, I think you guys, if you've been on the board for at least a year, I think you've been in both the classes.
This video is actually produced by Mr. Nathan Thomas, standing right there.
I will introduce my team in just a minute. I just want to talk a little bit about what we do and everything. And like Mr. Shoemaker said, everyone always says, "Oh, you teach BattleBots, and it's so cool and everything." Not as you see, not exactly. So, but I'll let them go into a little bit more detail about that here in just a minute. So I do want to talk about the robotics field out there in the world. So according to the United States labor statistics, this career field is going to grow 17,000 jobs per year until 2031. So that's a lot of jobs that our kids are going to look at in the next few years. And this arena teaches these kids skills like collaboration, communication, interview skills. They're interviewed at every tournament that we go to. And time management, critical thinking, leadership. I mean, I could go on and on about a list of things that they can do. And these are all skills that they take with them anywhere that they go, okay? This goes throughout their lifetime, any career field that they're gonna go into. And this opportunity that I've had coaching them over the past 2 years has been such a learning experience for me as well as them. And I've seen this group of gentlemen, this group of young men grow so much as a team and individuals in the last year. It's just amazing to watch. So I'm going to let them talk more about the program and what they've accomplished and what they've done and what they've experienced. So as I want to introduce them to you as our award-winning Siloam Springs High School robotics team, as I love to say. Aiden Christopher, who is our driver and our coder. He is also our TSA state officer for Siloam Springs High School. So he represents Siloam Springs with that. Hayden Cox, he is my child, Hayden Cox. That is the one that we're talking about. He is our builder and CAD designer. And then we have Nathan Thomas, our project manager and videographer. He is also our January Student of the Month for Southern Springs High School. So, yay. And we have one more student who is also on the team. He had to work tonight, Jazz Cullen. He does our notebook and documentation for us. So he had to work tonight, so he could not be here, but he is a huge part of our team as well. So, but I will let these guys do more of the talking for me. So there you go.
So I'm Aiden, and when I tell you that when we met over the summer to begin robotics, we were really just four random people. We were not strangers, we were in the same class, but we were not really friends. And it began how four guys trying to build a robot began, like a mess. And it started with trying to begin brainstorming, and we came up with a couple of designs that we thought we were confident with. Turned out, we went to a tournament and we ended up placing last place due to a couple errors with motors and just unexpected stuff that we had no experience with. This was the first year that we began competing competitively, and so it was a whole new realm we were talking about, and so it took the experience off our first tournament, and we were determined not to let that stop us. And so we began and redesigned our robot, and we began our second tournament, and we didn't place at all promising either. We placed in the bottom 25%. But that we didn't let that stop us either. We then began, and we looked again and said, what can we do better? What are other teams doing? And we looked and we realized it was some stuff we could do with the robot, but also more stuff we could do as a team. And it realized we were four strangers. We need to become four friends that can work on a robot and communicate. And then once we started communicating better as a team, we began working more efficiently. And then, as shown, our tournament progress began improving. We began placing in the top 50%. And then after a big discussion, we reevaluated. We did a big redesign, and we put a couple hours in. As Mr. Shoemaker was talking about, we put a lot of hours in. And we came out very confident, and we got third place at a tournament. And then we followed that up with a second place at another tournament, and we won the Judges Award. And the Judges Award is awarded to a team that doesn't qualify for other awards, but that doesn't mean it's a pity award. Judges Award does not have to be given at a tournament, and it is given to a team that demonstrates incredible ability at the tournament, a good attitude all around, and shows, and they had to place in the top 15% in the other categories of the tournament, and have to show that they overcame some challenge over the tournament or over the season. And that has to also go along with the interview and the code, just overall a robot has to follow. And so the Judges Awards have a very high prestige, and we're excited for this weekend to go to another tournament. We're hoping to bring a first place to just follow up the 3-2-1 and come back with the second award.
Hi, my name is Hayden Cox. So, like you said quite recently, at our tournament, we got second place and we achieved the Judges Award. So, whenever judges so what happens is judges they'll come around to each table and they will individually interview us. And judges look for special qualities like extraordinary efforts, perseverance, and unique attributes during the event. While listening to the team, they ask themselves if they have faced tough challenges and obstacles and still managed to come through with something amazing. And lastly, during the interview process, judges specifically look for top-notch communication, teamwork, professionalism, and focus on driven values. Now, so from what I know, to our team, This award only represents a small part of our efforts. Similar to how a picture allows us to relive those special or important moments in our lives. The true value of this award is in the hours, the work, and the literal, not joking, the literal blood, sweat, and tears in the overall and overcoming achievements by learning from our past failures instead of dwelling on them.
Okay, so my name is Nathan Thomas. I'm the project manager of this advanced robotics team. I make videos and photos of our robot, whose name is Dane. I got reward of Student of the Month for January. Found out on one of my Special Olympic days, actually, which was fun and exciting. I'm glad we are now pushing award winning, and I'm excited to go for the next one. Hopefully we get another reward for the Conway one. Okay.
We actually have our robot here if you would like to see a demonstration of it, if you would like. Okay. You guys can go play with the robot.
I'll take a minute. I was moved by that presentation. While you guys get this robot ready, I was moved by that presentation, and I think that's very inspiring and very good that we could see something like this that's very developmental for these young men. So, and I think you've built more than a robot. Was just sharing an analogy with someone earlier today.
It'll go all the way up.
Wow. You guys are building more than a robot. You're building team and confidence, so good job.
So, what do you want to do first?
You want to shoot?
Shoot it.
All right.
They want to shoot.
All right.
Shoemaker wants to see.
So, one of the mechanics in the game is you have to shoot from one corner of the field on your defensive side across to the other side to shoot into the goal. And so this is the intake that we just came up with.
You ready for this?
And so, and then those are the scoring balls. With the points out there, we will drive forward and we can expand outwards. And then you are allowed to plow and score multiple points in like that. And then that system on top that we use for launch, we also used it, as you saw in the video, as a blocker. And then there's one last mechanism. You want to tell you wrong? So at the end of the game mode, you are able to hang, and it is one of the hardest parts of the game. And we are able to get a feed sear hang, which is the second elevation level. And so it is able to hold itself like that.
And that gives you 30 extra points at the end of the game.
And what they aren't sharing is that last year's game was an entirely different game. So each year they have to relearn how to best compete in the competition. It was completely different last year.
Every year, so I competed last year, and that was a big thing apart from the team, was I was the only one coming from the last year tournament. And so all my experience was just general robotics. We came in here with genuinely very little knowledge about what to do, how to do it. We came in here just as simple engineers and programmers, and we were very happy and proud of what we came up with.
Very good. Ms. Cox, can we get a picture of the team and you up here at the front,
Yes,
please?
And Dane,
It's more about them, but I'll come up there.
yeah, they need to hold the deal.
They want a picture
With the robot?
with the robot.
Yes, take the robot.
Bring Dane.
Shane, he's switched it to the overhead.
Maybe right over here, guys, so you get it, yeah. Congratulations. That's awesome.
And you might think that's all of the robotics celebrations tonight, but you would be wrong. Because we have one more group here tonight. And I'm going to let Adrian Cook take the mic and introduce this last group.
There's no microphone. It's okay. I'm good.
There's a microphone right there. It's got you.
I'm Adrian Cook. I'm the principal for the Virtual Academy, and I'm here to introduce actually two different robotics teams. The teams that I'm going to introduce are composite teams. So they're students from our district who participate in this team. So the first one I would like to introduce is our large composite team. So that is the ShadowBots. If you guys want to start working your way up here. So the ShadowBots advanced from the Northwest Arkansas Regional Qualifiers in December. They competed in January among the top 32 teams in the state at the Arkansas State Championships for First Lego League. The team presented their strategies, robot design, and coding to judges during their presentation, along with an innovative project where the team was working to create a device to help their teammate play trombone without assistance. In all presentation areas, they scored all 3s and 4s on their rubric. They received the first place award for robot design, which is awarded to the team the judges felt used outstanding programming principles and solid engineering practices to develop a robot that is mechanically sound, durable, efficient, and highly capable of performing challenge missions. They did an outstanding job presenting their ideas to the judges and received amazing feedback. Team members are Captains Reed Bordowski, who's a Virtual Academy student, Captain Peyton Smith, who attends the intermediate school, Grant Landerito, who attends the intermediate school, Isai Ballesteros, Brighton Hopper, and Aslan Dominguez, who attends the middle school. Come on up, guys. We'll go ahead. No, sir. Nope, just introduce him. Yes, come on up. Take your pictures. Yeah, come on. Absolutely. Are you sure? Okay. Renee, do you coach them? Are you the coach? This is parent Renee Bordowski, who is actually parent of Reed, who is a Virtual Academy student, and she is the coach for the team. So we are going to invite her to actually join. All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Sure. Would you like to?
So, our team is, I started it because my son wanted to do robotics. They, in their rookie year, 3 years ago, made it past qualifiers to state. And we've done that 3 years in a row. And this is our first year to actually win a trophy at state because the judges are a lot harder at the state level than they are at the regional level. So we were super, super proud to advance from regionals and then to get the first place award in robot design and beat out all the big districts because we're competing against Little Rock, we're competing against Fort Smith, whose entire school district is doing this, and we're competing against Bentonville and Springdale and Fayetteville. And I'm super, super proud of what they've done. And this year, their award came from their presentation to the judges. So that shows me how much they've improved in their ability to explain their ideas. They get 5 minutes to explain their whole robot design and coding strategy and mission strategies within it, and then a Q&A, and then they have another 5 minutes to talk about their innovation project. So they don't get a lot of time to express their ideas to the judges. So I'm super proud that they got all 3s and 4s this year, and the judges that were judging the robot design had a hard time coming up with questions to ask them because they addressed it all in their presentation. So I'm very, very proud that they've come so far in 3 years in their presentation skills.
Okay, and then the other team that I would also like to introduce is Beatrice Posey, who is a part of the Happy Accidents, and she is a 7th grader here at the middle school. So Beatrice Posey is a member of the Happy Accidents who also competed at the Arkansas State Championships for First Lego League in January. That team earned the Champions Award at both the NWA Regional Qualifiers in December and at the State Championships. The Champions Award is the top award and is given to the team that embodies the First Lego League Challenge experience by fully embracing the core values while achieving excellence and innovation in robot performance, robot design, and the innovation project. That team will be advancing to represent Arkansas at the First Lego League World Championships in Houston in April.
Wow, neat. Yeah.
I am not a coach. I am Beatrice's dad. So Shadowbots is a good example of what First Lego League is about. So there's a lot more than just building a robot. And I think the high school team mentioned having to do presentations, and that's what this team has excelled in the last couple of years. They've been together for 3 years. So the difference between B's team and the other team is you've noticed all the other teams are dudes, all dudes. Beatrice is the only girl on her team and has been for 3 years. And the other thing is she's the only Siloam Springs school student there. The rest are in homeschool or private school. So she's representing us very well. And it's nice to hear Siloam Springs being mentioned for multiple awards at these ceremonies instead of some of these other bigger programs. And we're very proud to be representing Siloam Springs in the World Championships. It's going to have 50,000 participants from around the world. So it's a big deal.
At Houston? Is that Houston?
Houston in April 17th through 20th, yes.
Good luck.
Wow. Nice.
Get a photo picture.
Here, I'll scoot over.
Thank you.
Congratulations to all your teams. And the one thing that stuck out when y'all were talking is about team and communication. And what y'all were saying about that, by learning that at this level, sky's the limit. They'll always know how to learn to communicate better and be a team, be a part of a group. That's awesome. Awesome. So congratulations. That conclude our celebration.
Yes, sir. I believe that concludes our celebration.
All right. Mr. Patrick, comments from patrons.
None this evening, sir.
All right. Bambi, let the minutes show that we have an established quorum. And the first items will be reports. And Mr. Wiggins.
I have a couple of very brief things to report. First off, Tuesday night of this week, we had a meet and greet for our new football coach at the high school. Had, I'm going to guess, about 50 folks show up in the seminar room to meet Doug Lockridge and his family members that came up with him. And I thought that went very well. Everybody that was there seemed to enjoy getting to meet Doug, and we're looking forward to bright things there. Second item I wanted to mention, we have practice going on our baseball and softball fields now. Started this week. During the work session earlier, you might have heard a little music being played while the baseball team was out there practicing. But it's exciting that they are able to get out there and practice. Still working on a lot of the stuff around the fields, trying to get ready for hosting some games, but the practice is going, and that's a great sign. So that concludes my reports, sir.
Wow, okay. Amy Carter.
Good evening. I have several reports and updates. They shouldn't take very long. A few celebrations in our world of the curriculum side of the house. This past Monday, our ALT-ELPA exam was audited by the state, and within hours after leaving, Mr. Wiggins received a fabulous email talking about the organization structure, talking about our building test coordinators, talking about our district coordinator, which is Dr. Leanne Carter over that. And then this also includes Shauna Asensio Porter, because the ALT-ELPA is our state assessment for our students that are on alternate assessment protocols. And so that's a great thing. Like, we were glad. The audit is always stressful when someone comes in. So even I think Dr. Carter was up on Sunday working and making sure everything was organized and ready. So that's a great thing. The second piece was, yet again, the state was here from DESE today for our T1MC grant, which is our Tier 1 mathematics curriculum grant, which we have adopted illustrative math. And so they were here and they got to visit it's a K-5 grant, but we only had time for visits in our K-4 buildings today. And we observed classrooms. We were able to debrief and have a follow-up with the state person, I don't remember her name, but the teachers were able to join us in that end of day session and answer questions. But I will say she had a page full of questions, and after seeing our classrooms, after watching the slide deck that our instructional coaches and teachers put together, we didn't have to answer anything else on the page. She had some nice to knows and things that she just wanted to know about, because they are asking a couple of other districts that have just adopted illustrative math to reach out to us so that we can discuss and model what that looks like and how to get this implemented. So again, that's a great thing on our side of the house, especially to have 2 state audits in 1 week. So great celebration there. Then I think I mentioned last month, spring starts our testing cycles, which we've started the ALT-ELPA assessment, and that is through the month of March, February into March. But the beginning of March for 3rd grade through 10th grade, we will take the Atlas State Writing Exam. And so that will be all of our kiddos across those grade spans. So that will take us into the real testing summative world. And from that point, of course, we'll leave for spring break. But when we come back in that mid-April through the end of May, we will have summative assessments in 3rd grade through high school, and then our K2 will actually have their end of year summatives that they take as well. So, any questions so far? Just a lot of nice to knows. The next piece is a social studies adoption committee, and we started this process last week. We have, I'm going to estimate 35 members on the committee. So that involves some classroom teachers, some administrators, some instructional coaches, several community members, and we will have meetings every other week through mid-April. And right now we have 4 companies that we've reached out to be able to receive their products for us to be able to dig into. And we have a few of those, actually, right back there in that room. And this coming Monday is our next meeting. So that's going to be quite a bit of a process, but we like to do that because it allows our teachers and the instructional coaches to take back the material and actually practice and teach some of that in the classroom to know which one kind of best suits where we need to guide our curriculum. So that will be coming up, like I said, for several weeks. And you're more than welcome to pop in. We have our meetings right in this room. And so, like I said, it's every other week. On
Monday at what time?
Monday at 3:30. Yes. Oh, and I did want to say about that, we asked some of the committee members, and we're trying to figure out ways to allow more parents than what we can fit on the committee to review some of the materials. And so at the parent-teacher conference evenings in the various buildings, we're going to have tables set up with the curriculum so they can actually look through the hard copies. But then we're also going to have like a QR code that they can scan and be able to provide feedback and types of things. So we'll also have that to help guide in the end. Then, in addition, February is CTE month in the state, and so we have a wonderful CTE program. So I'm going to turn it over to Luke Shoemaker, who will highlight and celebrate our successes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't want to hear comments about funds.
Thanks,
I was
sir.
going to use Comic Sans.
No. Glad
May
you
get critiqued a little bit on that.
It'll be
Thank you.
That's pretty funny.
I'll cover some of that. I put some images up here. So yes, February is, it's actually National CTE Month. It's career and technical education. You know, I'm proud to have that be part of my roles here for the district. Just a kind of a quick overview of CTE for our district. I'm going to talk about some accountability measure, data points, some things that we've really hit the last couple of years. But before I do that, none of what I'm about to show is possible without our staff. And I know in your role, you don't always hear all the positive, wonderful things that are going on in our school district. So I want to make that abundantly clear tonight that we do have teachers in this district that do incredible things, as you just saw. And we have students that are doing incredible things. We have teachers that are impacting students' lives by teaching them skills that they're going to carry on throughout their life. You talked about the communication piece, same maybe technical skill, whatever it might be, we are preparing them for life beyond high school. I truly believe that. Whether that be the robotics teacher who spends 4 hours after school with kids, grinding each and every night to make them better in different areas of their life. The agri teacher who spends 7 hours on a round trip down to wherever and back and is there all day. The yearbook teacher who has to revise and look over 100 to 200 pages of student-produced work. The CAS teacher who's on a Zoom every day with an employer trying to get our kids hired. You saw an FCCLA sponsor who drastically impacted the life of a young lady. I could go on and on with how great of a staff that we have at that building, whether it be the high school, the middle school, or we have one CTE teacher in the intermediate school. To me, one of the greatest things our teachers can do, one of the biggest components, and you've heard the phrase Tier 1 instruction, is relationships. And it's a lot of these classes, that is why these kids show up day in, day out, is because of some of these courses, or because a teacher impacted their lives in a very powerful way. So I do want to make that abundantly clear that we are very proud of our staff. Every single one of those teachers is doing something every day to give a skill to a kid that they're going to carry for eternity. So I'm proud for the teachers I get to oversee. Within that, they have 70 different individual courses. So it could be in a wide array of programs. Inside that folder are different what we call career cards. So those are kind of a guide for our students of if you choose this pathway, These are some of the potential jobs that you could lead to this and what the pathway looks like for you at the high school. Now, those were created by our graphic design classes and Miss Amos, who put a lot of time into it. Now, did we use a little bit of what the state already had put together? Absolutely, but we put some Panther on it. It had a lot of blue. Maroon looks a lot better. And we also tried to do some jobs that are more local to some of our industry needs. And then you see we have 4,420 students enrolled. That doesn't count duplicates. So we have a lot of students who could take multiple CTE classes, whether that be that they're in AVTF and business and maybe another pathway of study. So that's the duplicate total, but that's a large enrollment. Then these are some of the career cards I'm talking about that you're looking at. The goal or the intention, last Wednesday we held what was called the SSHS Showcase. And thank you for Miss Bambi for putting on Facebook, and Hannah Martin, our high school librarian. She was getting after this every day if you follow the high school page to try to promote and drive people to the building to see hands-on some of the things that we do. And we're really trying to be intentional about plugging kids into something sooner than later. I don't want a senior to jump into a level 1 course and miss out on what else they could have learned or what other certifications they could have achieved. So we've got different programs of study. We have over 20 pathways, as the state would call it. I didn't turn anything off. I can keep going. I used to be a classroom teacher, just an adapt. So we've got, when I say the word completer, what that looks like, it means is that a student intentionally went through all 3 levels of one of those. So at the bottom, you see level 1, level 2, level 3. A completer has gone through that. So this year's graduating class, we have 278 completers or pathways that have been completed. Some kids have multiple. I mean, I saw an Agri kid, he's done 4 pathways. He's just done every Agri class he can get his hands on. That's incredible. 171 individual completers. So, and you don't have to click the link, Miss Bambi, but it's kind of already laid out for you. The federal term that they really like to focus on, and what some of the data I'm about to share, is what they call as a concentrator. And this is just someone who takes 2 levels. So they take a foundational course that encompasses, let's say, Intro to Business. It is to give them a baseline of what they could do in the business world. And from there, do they want to do accounting? Do they want to do marketing? And then they dive into that level 2 course within an occupational area. So from those 246 of our 299 seniors, this is actually the 2022 data. The 2023 graduate data will come out next month. And what I want to really point out is, and I'll make a better comparison deeper into this presentation, but the graduation rate for a CTE concentrator from our graduating class of 2022 was 96.22. That's 9% over the state target. Post-secondary placement, 88%. That's up from the class of 21. And then 51.67% of those students earn an industry-recognized credential. What does that mean? There's a list the state puts together that they say these are recognized credentials by industry that they have spoken to. We were 18% above our state target there. That's something we really push. So they take away not only skills that we teach, but something of value they can put on a resume, like I am OSHA certified, or I am ServSafe, or I have shown that I can do Microsoft Word, Excel, etc. And that's, a big push of ours as we move into even more opportunities with work-based learning. Another area there, because it's not all about the technical skills, they're still doing other courses. Data shows that our concentrators perform higher in all those tested areas, whether it be language arts, math, science. And I think there's a connection there, that if a student is passionate about something that gets them to school and they have an interest and they're part of something bigger than themselves, they are more high achieving. I mean, that's no secret to anyone in this room. And a lot of these different pathways have an organization tied to it. So if they're in ag, they do FFA. If they're in AVTF, they do STN. If they're in FACS, they do FCCLA. All of the data and metrics up there have shown that our students who are at least a concentrator and have done 2 levels, they score higher on all the different exams, but they also find placement outside of SSHS, which is our ultimate goal, is to make productive adults. We talk about the 3 E's, enrolled, enlisted, or employed. That's the goal. And 88% means we miss. So I know we're not perfect, but I am very proud of CTE. And the last slide is student testimonials. So, because that's what this is all about. So year around this time, I identify the completers. I send them out a form so they can create a poster that we hang up on completer day. And one of the big questions on there is, how has CTE impacted your life? And these are some of the responses that have come from this year's senior class. And the ongoing theme I see is that one of the third choice there, it helped me enjoy school more. I'm not saying that math, English, those things aren't important. Not at all. What I am saying is that these different CTE courses that are very unique and give them skill sets, I believe that helps. We talk about attendance matters. When kids are in that, they're at school. And I'm excited for what we do with students. Do we still have more to do? Absolutely. But I think we have a strong program. And it's not because of me, but it is because of all of those staff members that put their blood, sweat, and tears, like that young man said, into something they're very passionate about. That was a lot. Any questions?
Great information.
Thank you.
Big thank you.
Happy
Yes.
CTE month.
Great work. All right. Mr. Patrick.
I only have one item tonight. I wanted to give you a little update on, Mr. Wiggins kind of alluded to it a minute ago, that our baseball, softball teams are out there on the fields practicing. We still have a lot of work going on, and I'm pretty confident. I met with the construction company on the fields yesterday, and we are really confident, barring some crazy long-term weather situation we're not aware of, that we're still going to hit our target date, our revised target date of March 1st, being ready so we can play our first home game. Sometime around that, we are going to plan a ribbon cutting and first pitch ceremonies and that kind of stuff during that time. I know the foundation that's something they're really interested in. Some details about some stuff that's going on. If you've been by, you noticed that the backstop nets have been completed. The masonry on the concession stand was completed. The exterior was today, and they started putting up rafters. As a matter of fact, I think by the end of the day, they were all up. We look to have no later than Monday start putting metal and getting that dried in so the other trades can get inside and do the work. So we're excited about where we're going. The coaches, the feedback from the coaches and the players has been fantastic. They are just so excited, and they're happy to be out there on a field. I will remind everybody that if we are still we have a backup plan. If something does change and we have to miss that first home date for whatever reason, we are working with the city. I had a meeting with them earlier this week. We have dirt coming in. It was finally getting dry enough. They hoped that a dirt truck would be here tomorrow to add some dirt to the baseball infield and a little bit in the outfield of softball where there's some issues. And we're working to get those ready. And I do want to commend the city, the recreation department. Travis Cheney has been invaluable. He is a true partner. He's fairly new to that position over the last year or so, and every time I call him, he is all in. And in return, if he asks us, we try to be all in too. So it's a great partnership that we've got, and I'm really excited about where we're at right now. Does anybody have any questions? All right, thank you very much. That concludes my report.
All right, we'll move to action items, consent agenda.
We have several sets of minutes in the consent agenda, and then a couple of transfers, actually 4 transfers, and a couple of hires.
Motion to approve? Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Terry, January financials. Here you are.
I know, it's just easier to, when he's up, to go ahead and get up here. We are moving right along. We are just wrapped up our 7th month of the year. So we're on the downhill side of everything. There's a couple of things I wanted to point out to you in the unrestricted revenue page, which is behind the first summary page. We received our excess commissions, and it was quite a bit more than anticipated. And just as a reminder, excess commissions come from our county treasurer, who withholds money back every month to cover their office expenses. They hold this money and they true it up at the end of the year, and whatever they have withheld that they didn't spend gets sent back out to the districts they collected it from. So everybody got their excess commission returned. This is very standard. It's up and down depending on what they're doing. Don't really know what all their expenses are, but we're lucky that they turned part of it back to us, and this year it was quite a bit more than we had anticipated, so that was really good news. Another thing I wanted to point out on the refunds, where we've collected a huge amount of money, we actually finally got an insurance check from the ice flooding, the pipes busting last year. And I can't post it, I can't receipt it to a current expense. It has to go in as a refund of a previous year expense. So we have finally received that, and I don't think we're due any more money from those insurance claims, but I did want to point that out. On our graph, you will see that the red line is way above the blue squares, which is awesome. And they should be, because I projected, quite an increase in revenues this year. So instead of looking at it at how much more money have we collected than we did this time last year, I changed it to percentages. So in January of last year, we had collected 65% of the projected revenues. This January, we've collected 63.6. So just a little under, but we are still tracking. Historically, February and March are our poorest months, so we're really glad that we got all of that excess commissions. So I don't really have anything else other than looking at the building fund. You will notice that we had a private donation, and that was from our city, who said they were going to help us with the lighting at the tennis complex. So I just wanted to shout out to them for stepping up and helping us pay for that. So we have received that.
Not on page 5, am I looking at the right one?
It says building fund.
I see a transfer to building fund, bottom of page 5, which one are you talking about?
It is the page after debt service fund. I don't know the page numbers.
Okay.
I don't number them.
That's fine, I'll find it. Page 7, okay.
Thank you. You will also notice that our building fund is going down very quickly, but you will also notice that we are almost finished spending all of our money that we had planned on spending this year on projects. So I honestly don't have much of anything else unless you all had some particular questions.
I have a quick question, Terry.
Okay.
Okay, on the excess commissions,
Yes, sir.
you said it was more than expected,
Yes,
which
sir.
looks to be like 125,000 more than expected.
Mhm.
That's an unrestricted revenue, correct?
Yes.
So what are there state guidelines that restrict what we can and cannot do with that excess? What's been the history?
It falls under the same parameters that are property taxes or taxes
Okay.
based
Okay.
and everything. Don't buy alcohol, don't plan parties, don't,
Yep, okay.
that kind of thing. But it does allow us the freedom to spend it as we need to. It's
Perfect.
not like our categorical funds that you can only spend on professional development or certain populations and things like that. Great question, though.
Answered perfectly, thank you.
Eric, the building fund page in and of itself is 4 pages after the graph. Revenue graph.
Right there. Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Terry. Contractor agreement.
So each year,
or each year we enter, and for, I don't know, longer than I've been around
Oh,
in
wow.
many years, we have entered into a contract with Eliza Jones. She is a specialist that works with many districts around the state on their master plans. And there's a lot of things that she's actually added over the years. She has helped districts with ESSER funding on how they can and can't spend. So when we did our HVAC stuff, she helped helped us make sure our paperwork was right when we sent it in the state to make sure that we could spend the money right and do it all right. She can work with the maintenance department with our Operations Hero training and monitoring, which is our our system that records all of our maintenance records. Also, she can help us with active shooter training and security audits and does facility inspections. One of the things we have had to do is she's offered to come help us with a American with Disabilities Act audit of our school district we had to do, and we had a couple of little questions that she was able to help us with. So she's been helping us a long time, and it's that time. This is the time of the year we always bring to the board and ask that we continue that. Her price is the same; it hasn't changed this year, and so I would recommend that we stay the course with this. This is going to become vitally important on stuff that we build. So I'll use the example. She is the one that's really going to help us get our money back from the state over on the roof we did, that part. So we're waiting to collect all the documentation as it comes in, and then she will help us file that paperwork with the state, and we'll make sure and get that back. So anytime we build a school with state's funding, then she, or even do some kind of repair work that the state's going to fund, she's going to have a major active role in that. And so I would think we need to go ahead and I recommend that we enter into this agreement and keep moving on forward.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. 1240 waiver.
Okay, so I had sent you all some information that we had some options for making up snow days. And we originally put a survey out to our staff, which they responded and chose to make up one day on February 19th, which was supposed to be a teacher-only day. And then they were planning on using the days at the end of the year, the end of May. After we did the survey and they gave us that feedback, then the state told us that we had another option, that we could request a waiver of our calendar for the year and switch from 178 days to 1,068 hours. And the way that could help us is if we had more than 360 minutes, which is required, of instructional time in our buildings, then any extra minutes each day that we could say were extra, we could bank those toward those hours. And if we could make up a day or two or three over the course of the year, the kids would not have to come those days. And so that was an option that was given to us. When we looked at our buildings and looked at the amount of instructional time in each building, every building in our district has more than 360 minutes, except for high school and Main Street. And there's some reasons for that, and we're not alone in the fact that our upper grades don't have as many minutes as our lower grades. Passing time, lunches, anyway, there's some reasons for that. So we put the option back out to our staff that we could add some additional minutes at the high school and Main Street to each day from whenever we pass this to the end of school. And so to figure that out, we decided if we do this, we're going to start it next Monday, the 12th. And we're going to go 21 extra minutes every day for all of the remaining days of school this year. And we are still going to keep February 19th as a student day. And so that leaves us 4 to make up at the end, but we're going to make up those 4 days with extra minutes at all of our buildings by adding 21 to the high school. So we put that out as an option, and survey results came back. They were overwhelmingly that the staff wanted to do that. I think it was pretty close at the high school, by the way, but everywhere else it was overwhelming. So then the process that the state gave us was because we're changing our calendar, the PPC, it's a personnel policy. So the PPC has to agree to it because we're in the middle of the year. So both PPCs have met. I have a statement from John Blair. I'm going to read the short version. The Classified Personnel Policy Committee met Monday to discuss the calendar. We voted to change the calendar to minutes and would like to recommend the school board approves the change. So John sent this in lieu of attending. Kelly Sumter is here to represent the Certified Personnel Policy Committee. Kelly, would you like to speak to it?
Yes, certified staff also met Monday, and we also voted to add the 21 minutes to the high school and MSA.
Okay. And so that's the first step. Both PPCs have to agree. Second step is that the board has to approve that change to our calendar and that policy. And then the third step, after you all, assuming you all agree and approve that, then I will request a waiver. Actually, you all have to sign off on it. We will request a waiver to the state board to allow us to change from days to minutes. And we have been assured that that will happen quickly, and we should just go ahead with our plan on February the 12th. So all that having been said, I would recommend that the board approve changing our calendar from days to minutes so that we can make up those days with extra minutes at our buildings.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, now here's the copy of the 1240 waiver.
Hold on, I gotta catch up. Okay, so the copy of 1240 waiver, this one is a different waiver. This one is for school start date next year. So about the time that we were getting all this information from the state, we were also told that because of the excessive days missed this year due to weather, that the state would consider waiving the official start date for schools that's in law for next year if people applied for a waiver. So the law is kind of convoluted the way it's written. You can start school on the Monday of the week of August 19th, unless August 19th falls on I don't know, it's convoluted. So what we would like to propose, or what I am asking you all to consider, is that we request a waiver from the state. Next year, we would start on August 19th. That is the earliest date we could start. And by the law, that's as late as it could be and still meet the law. So this year, we went after Christmas for the semester. You all may have heard some feedback at the high school about our kids having to come back after Christmas and take semester tests. We also missed a number of days, which could put us well into June or possibly at some point if we didn't do the minutes. So a lot of the Northwest Arkansas schools are going to request a waiver for next year for the start date, giving us permission to start as early as the 12th, which is 1 week ahead of what the law would allow. And it doesn't mean that we will start the 12th, but it allows us the option of presenting a calendar to our PPCs for next year that could go as early as the 12th with the first day. And so I have a short time to get this to the co-op, and the co-op is going to present this to the state board altogether. So I would ask you all to approve the resolution giving us the right to request a waiver to start a week earlier next year on the 12th.
Clarify, this is solving the come back after Christmas and take finals.
It could. So the process for approving a calendar is, it would normally be at this meeting that we would present a calendar. There's so many things up in the air right now that we're putting it off till the March meeting, right? Okay. So the process for approving a calendar is, it starts with the Personnel Policies Committee because it is a personnel policy. And they can have multiple options to consider. They take it out to the staff. The staff provides feedback to them as their representatives, and then they submit something to us as a recommendation, to you all as a recommendation. You all can choose to approve that as their recommendation or do something completely different, but historically, the board has approved whatever the PPC has presented. And so we'll start that process in earnest once we know if we have approval to start on the 12th
Yeah,
or not.
that's good. Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. You can start. That's your, Kelly, you do that, don't you? Okay. All right, discussion of the future of SSVA.
Okay, I added this in. We have been waiting on word from the state whether we could even continue our virtual academy for next year. With passage of LEARNS last year, there was some language put in to the act about in-person learning versus online instruction. And there is a definite message in the act and from our Secretary of Education and from our governor that in-person learning is superior to online instruction, and that they want schools to focus on in-person, one-on-one, or not one-on-one, face-to-face in-person instruction. That is the reason we don't have AMI days this year, because they want us to have in-person instruction. A consequence of that is that our digital learning plan, which was started during COVID, which allowed us to create the Siloam Springs Virtual Academy, those digital learning plans are going to be do what? Expired. They are going, thank you. They are going to expire at the end of this year. And so we do not have a approval for K through 8 Virtual Academy for sure. And we have been told at the beginning of the year that we would not have approval for any Virtual Academy. We've gone back and forth with the state, and just before Christmas, realized that in the last submission for our high school conversion charter, which was 4 years ago, at the last second, we had included virtual classes in that charter as part of it, just to make sure that that was built in. So the fact that it is approved in our conversion charter, and we have one more year on our conversion charter at the high school, we have the opportunity to continue some virtual classes at the high school next year. So K-8, it's not possible. 9 through 12, it is possible. We have been paying for our virtual academy for the most part, most of the salaries for teachers. Currently, we have 3 full-time FTEs and 4 partials, and I did not include a counselor that also is kind of part-time there and has other duties. But most of those salaries have been paid out of COVID funds, out of ESSER II COVID funds. COVID funds go away this summer. We have to have them all spent by September, and they are no longer available after that. So anything that we continue to pay as far as salary that used to be paid out of COVID funds is going to come and be paid out of district funds. So that's going to be an additional expense to us. So as we looked at this, and looking at the numbers, originally, before COVID, I wanted to start a virtual academy for the school district. That was a goal of mine. That was a goal of ours. And the break-even point we thought was going to be around 125 to 150 kids in a virtual academy to make it financially sustainable. The first year or two, we had a whole bunch because of COVID. We've gone down, down, down. And so this year, the numbers are in the report that I gave you there. For high school next year, if the same kids move up and 8th graders move up, 9th graders, 10th graders, 11th graders, we would have 44 kids. That makes it financially a little tough. And with the number of staff we have currently, it makes it not efficient at all. So I am proposing that we greatly scale back and we only offer high school. Some of the things that we know it's very important for are our expelled services for our expelled kids. We want to continue that. Our homebound kids that are medically fragile, we want to continue those opportunities. And then some very serious emotional anxiety issues where they can't handle being at our high school. And so we want to continue those for sure. And so my proposal is that moving forward next year, we kind of cut back to one full-time spot that's teaching. We will have an IEP or a special ed teacher involved as well, part-time. and we move it under the high school administration because it's going to be a very small program. And I've talked to Karen. Karen is willing to take that on in her administrative team. And so, anyway, that's the proposal for SSVA. I'm bringing this to you. I'm bringing this to you. You all approved it to begin with, so I'm bringing it back to you because for the most part, it's going to have to go away. We can keep parts of it at the high school, and I'm bringing it to you because I think since you all approved it on the front end, I want you to approve it, what it looks like going forward. And that doesn't mean it's going to stay that from now on. If we get it over there at the high school and we're running it efficiently and we start having more interest, then we might grow it back over time. But I think it's hugely important for those 3 groups of kids that I just mentioned.
Well, I mean, the hard part is the people aspect of this. You know.
So let me address that. I'm sorry, I should have addressed that at the beginning. Nobody's going to lose a job. All of our employees, I've already talked to them, and we will have a position for them somewhere in the district. It'll be somewhere in a grade that they are somewhat familiar with. All of them moved out of the classroom 3 years ago, 4 years ago to take the virtual classes. We will move them back into regular classrooms, and we'll accommodate that through attrition. We always have enough teachers leave that we can move those folks back in. Administrator, we're paying half-time out right now, will be a full-time administrator at one of the buildings. And our administrative assistant, we will assign her other duties someplace. So nobody will lose a job over it, and we will still have 1 or 2 teachers that are involved in SSVA.
What's our thoughts on retaining these folks who are moving back in the classroom? Do we feel like we'll be able to?
The teachers or the kids?
The teachers.
I don't really know how to answer that. I know there were some emotions yesterday when we talked to them. If they wanted to stay in virtual, they would have opportunities through some statewide charter virtual schools. I don't know how to answer that. They haven't given me that feedback.
And what about the kids? I see here that we have 8 out of that 44, 8 taking at least some classes. Do we feel pretty confident that most of those will end up coming over?
I can't answer that specifically, but in talking to our administrator, she believes that most of them will come back on campus. The original goal before COVID, when we had the grand scheme of trying to start one, the original goal was to try to get some of our homeschool kids to come in and take courses through virtual. And I think maybe we had a few the first year, and then through COVID, that kind of went away. And so our homeschool numbers have continued to go up, honestly. And I don't know that we've recaptured any of those, which is kind of the original goal.
Maybe here's what I'll say. I'm asking for some commitment here there's going to be some people in this room who potentially some of these teachers are going to be dispersing out to. The math makes sense. The explanation makes perfect sense to me. I understand it. It's unfortunate that it's happened to some of these folks who have moved and been very happy in this new role. So what I would ask for is just commitment from the folks in this room. A lot of you are going to receive, or some of you are going to receive some of these teachers, and I would just ask that we do our best to help them transition, hopefully, into that new role, if that's what we have to do. So.
And we actually have teachers that transition each year to some degree, because if we have a big class moving through, we have to move teachers from grade to grade to accommodate a big class or a small class. So it's not something we don't do on not an every year basis, but a kind of regular basis. And our administrators are very cognizant of dealing with those folks and helping them adjust back to the classroom or whatever grade they're coming to.
I trust you. I'm just want to say that. That's unfortunate for them, but yeah, I totally get the numbers.
Yeah, I think, that's what I want to say is we get the numbers. We understand that. But the big part is just, saying thank you to the staff that is having transition, because we talked them into going there, trained them, and now, yes, they have a job, but they don't know what it's going to be. That's not a position any of us would like to be in. And I thank them for taking on the challenge and hope that we can get them in a spot that they enjoy.
Yep. Well, motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we will go into executive session for the purpose of hiring tonight. Call ourselves back into open session. And item 1 is Assistant Superintendent Contract Renewals.
Mr. President, I have a letter recommending that we renew Amy Carter and Shane Patrick for another year. Both assistant superintendents have done an outstanding job for me, and I appreciate their dedication to this school district and the long hours they put in. And they have been excellent number twos for me for the last 5 years, and I can't express my gratitude.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, both of you. And no resignations?
No, sir.
And 1 hire?
We have a new special ed teacher at the high school to recommend. I would recommend that we hire Valerie Harris.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No sick leave, right?
Yes, 1.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
We have an emergency sick leave request. The person, there's a letter in your folder. This person meets the requirements of our policy, and I recommend that you approve emergency sick leave for her.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Compensation for teachers serving more than 150 students.
Yes, sir. We do this on a pretty regular basis. We used to do it by semester, and since the semester ended after Christmas, we decided to go ahead and do it by quarter so that some of them got paid a little bit right before Christmas for first quarter. So now we're catching up, and we're going to do second and third quarter. So for second quarter, I have 3 teachers, Cameron King, Arlie Templeton, and Stacy Terrell. And then third quarter, Cameron King again, Arlie Templeton. And just a reminder, if a teacher teaches more than 150 students during the course of a day, they can do that in an agreement with us and get extra compensation for every child over that 150, and that's by law. And so these teachers are all kind of specials teachers that kids rotate through. And because of our numbers in our buildings right now, there's a little bit more for each one of them during the course of the day than a regular teacher. So I would recommend that we approve those 3 teachers for second quarter and 2 teachers for third quarter.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
And I have 1 late add, a request, the Dogwood offices that we have moved out of, the old administration offices, we have an appraisal that has come back to us, and I would request that you allow me to list those 2 properties for sale.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.